What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hey, I'm still in Denmark. I know this is a different setting. I thought it would be cool to do this video while I was still here in Denmark, just giving my honest opinion, my experience on going to Sweden for the first time. And not only that, just going out the country for the first time. Like, I'm used to flying, going maybe 2 to 3 hours away, at least by flight and stuff like that. But this experience was like no other. So, gonna get into the beginning of the whole journey, starting from the very beginning. Then we got some Q&A. I asked a question yesterday about I asked the question about, I asked people to send me questions they had about me and my experience and stuff like that. And I know sometimes you don't see it on the community tab, so I'm posting this video in hopes to make a part 2 for you guys to answer some more questions. But this is my honest opinion about my experience of visiting Sweden, Stockholm. I had somebody in there. You just visited Stockholm. You didn't you can't say just Sweden. You visited Stockholm only, blah, blah. But I still got to give my honest review just because it's still Sweden. It's still Sweden. I knew I wanted to visit Stockholm first, then kind of get to the other cities and towns that surround it. So, but y'all hit that subscribe button. Hey, send down those recommendations. Still taking recommendations for reactions and all that. But yeah, hit that like button. But let's get into it. First, starting off with my flight. My first flight going to Philadelphia. It got delayed twice. So mind you, I'm excited, nervous, but excited about this trip, which come to find out now, it done got delayed like twice. So while I was at home preparing, delayed. So I'm like, okay, not too bad. When I get there, another delay. And I'm looking at the times like, okay, maybe, it's okay. I still have time to make my other flight. Then I look again, it was delayed again. It was like, I think there were like 3 to 4 other flights that were delayed just that day. So it wasn't only mine, but still, I'm thinking like I have another flight to get to, and it's looking like I'm only gonna have like exactly 30 minutes before I even get there to go and get on the plane, board the plane. Cause usually board the plane about 20, 30 minutes earlier before they take off. And so I'm like scratching my head. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? So, board the plane, do all that. And we get on the plane. Mind you, good flight, took off. As we were getting there, we make it there probably about 10, 20 minutes. No, we made it there about 10 minutes earlier. And once we get there, guys, they tell us we have like 20 minutes before they can pull up to get a slot to even be able to let us off the plane. Like they were telling us, and there was 25 people that were either going to Copenhagen or London. So 25 people that could possibly miss their next flight. So I'm thinking to myself, like, oh, I'm really gonna have to run. So I put in my maps how far is the terminal from here. It was like 20 minutes. So I get off this plane. So I'm sitting there like, dang, I really gotta rush. The pilot is like, I hope you make it. I hope y'all make it to your flight, to your gate, to get on your flight and stuff. So I'm like, no, no. So get off the plane, guys. I had to run through the airport. Mind you, I've never been to Philadelphia. So I'm running through there with my suitcase and everything, and very tiring, very tiring. I got on the plane. I finally was able to make it to the plane, but 20 minutes. I was this close to missing that flight. That would have told me all I needed to know. I'm like, man, I'm never doing this again. This is too much, blah, blah, blah. But I was able to make it, and was able to get on that flight to Copenhagen. And just from there, it was I wouldn't say it was very tough, but it was different because I never flew that long. It was a 7-hour flight. Mind you, very tight. Y'all see how big I am. I'm very tall. I'm like 6'2". I'm 6'2", so I'm sitting like this the whole 7 hours. Very uncomfortable. I had an outside seat, so that was a good thing, but very uncomfortable. But they fed us dinner and gave us breakfast, so I was cool with that. But all in all, wasn't too bad. I was still a little nervous about not making my flight. Thought I was gonna miss it. I was nervous. I was real scared. Not gonna lie. But then I get to Copenhagen, guys. This is where the culture shock gonna go in, and I'm gonna be making a video on that soon once I get home. But the culture shocks. Once I step foot in Copenhagen, total language change. So I'm looking, I'm like, all right, what do I go? Where do I go? I was lost. I got lost in Copenhagen airport for a little bit because I'm like, I just seen a video and I'm looking for the specific things and I'm like, I don't see it. What if I don't see what I'm supposed to be looking for here. And eventually there were some people that were going through that just got off my flight as well. And I just start following them. I just start following people. Wherever I heard some English, I'm giving the ear out. And I just started following people. Then I realized, okay, now I gotta go through, show my passport. They asked me, what am I doing in Copenhagen and stuff like that. I told them, was able to go through. So I went through and made it all the way. I ain't gonna lie, it took about 10, 15 minutes. I was just walking around till I found somebody. I finally ran into the people that just got off my flight, but walking around and stuff like that. Then eventually I seen where I was supposed to be. And I seen like the little ticket station where I was supposed to get my ticket and stuff. So I'm like, perfect. This is what I seen in the videos. This is what I seen in the videos. I know what I'm doing. So doing all that, was able to get my ticket, get from the airport to the central station. But when I get to central station, I'm completely lost. Don't know what to do. I'm like, okay, I'm looking at the signs, I'm looking at my ticket. I'm like, I don't know what. So I start asking people for help. I think I asked like a security guard or something. Mind you, now, they English was well spoken, so anytime I had questions and stuff, when I did ask somebody, they were able to answer and help me. So that was a good thing. That was a good thing on that end. But I asked them, they were like, "Oh yeah, you need to hurry up and get on this. Go to Malmo, and they will help you from there." So I get on the station, get on the train to Malmo, which is not bad. I got some views of it, just going across the water and doing all that. Pretty nice view. And I think it said it'd take about 30 minutes, but because there were a couple of stops, it didn't seem like 30 minutes. It seemed like we got there faster. So that was a good thing right there. But get to Malmo, lost again. So I'm just going through like, what do I do? Do I need to do this? Do I need to? And ended up talking to somebody. They were like, "Oh yeah, you need to catch this train to Stockholm. It's getting ready to leave right now. So just get on there and go to Stockholm." So I'm like, perfect, cool. But and this is all in a span. Like once I get to Central Station in Copenhagen, the train is about to leave in 5 minutes. Then once I get to Malmo, the train is about to leave in 7 minutes. So I'm rushing across trying to get to and fro, and I don't know where to go. So I finally get on the train. So I'm like, perfect. I'm on the train, 4 hours. Let's get to Stockholm. Get on the train. First incident, woman's like, "Hey, you're in my seat. I would like to sit in my seat." And I'm like, "Oh, snap, my fault. Let me get up." Because, I'm like, my ticket say this, but I forgot it wasn't the right time. My time said like I should be on this train at like 2 o'clock. Mind you, it's like 11 or 12. So I'm on the earliest train possible. I'm on the train that I'm not even supposed to be on. So I move again. And I'm thinking smooth coasting and we making all these stops. I didn't think we would make all these stops. I just thought we would get from Malmo to Stockholm. No. Make all these stops and they just keep going. People keep coming on. So now my heart is beating. My heart is beating because I'm like, dang, I'm going to have to move again. But I didn't have to. But then they came to scan the tickets and they're like, you're not on the right train. You're like, I'll let you pass this time, but I'll just move your seats. Once we make the next stop, just switch your seats and go over here, stuff like that. So I had like 2 incidents where I was in the wrong seat. Okay, but they allowed me to stay on the train. So I end up moving seats. Perfect, cool. Now get to Stockholm. I get to Stockholm and my service, I was relying totally on Wi-Fi. Didn't even have service. Didn't even know my roaming was turned off. The roaming was turned off and I'm like, what in the world? Don't have no service. I'm like, what's AT&T doing? I'm supposed to have this, but didn't have the service. So I'm relying on Wi-Fi. So I get to Stockholm completely lost. My GPS was able to take me all the way to my hotel and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, where am I? just do this and all this. So I finally make it, and I was able to chill, relax, and really just walk around the perimeters and stuff. But yeah, just getting to Stockholm, it was craziness, it was madness, it was definitely different. Something I wasn't used to, especially traveling alone. I felt like Home Alone. I felt like Macaulay Culkin, whatever his name is, Home Alone. I really felt like that. But once I made it, that first day that I was there, I just walked around like where my hotel was, my hostel was, and that's another experience on this. I'll probably talk about that in the part two. But that was another experience. Pretty different, almost reminded me of college. So not too bad. Only thing is I'm an adult now, so don't really don't really miss college life living like that. But in my first full day, I was able to go to Gammelstein, go to the old town. I went super early because I knew people wasn't going to be there, so I went super early. As y'all can see in the video, nobody was there, nobody was out, so it was perfect. People were out running and working out and stuff like that, but nobody was really out. I know I didn't showcase people there and stuff like that, but when I went back that evening, it was packed. It was fully packed with people everywhere. Like it would have been impossible to make a video without like a lot of music playing, people talking and stuff like that. And mind you, like people talking, it wasn't too bad. It didn't. I don't know. It didn't seem too loud. So that was a difference right there. But then day two, I went a little further. Like, guys, I'm walking like 20,000 steps a day, just about. So I'm walking almost 10. I feel like I walked at least 6 to 8 miles a day. Like, this the most I ever walked in my life. And I mentioned in my video, my first video, Sweden, how the bike lane, that was new to me. The bike lane thing was new to me just because I've seen a lot of videos in the Netherlands about the bikes and stuff. But when I got to Sweden, it was almost the same thing. And I was walking in the bike lane, nobody stops. That was a different thing for me. Nobody really just stopped for you, be like, hey, move. Da, da, da. Nobody say nothing. People just go. Dude, people were flying on their bikes. They had the scooters and all those things. And it's like if you're walking in the lane, you better get out the way because I'm supposed to be driving here. But man, people, yeah, one thing I like, people just focused on themselves. They wasn't like nobody was staring at me or anything like that. It wasn't doing all those different things or nothing like that. But it was pretty cool. I feel like people just minded their business and did their own thing and stuff. So, but go into deeper details when I get to those culture shocks. But I just wanted to give my experience. Will I be back? For me personally, yes, I definitely would be back to Sweden. But I think I think what's for me is probably more outside of Stockholm. That's one thing I can agree. Is Stockholm kind of reminded me of New York, gave me like New York vibes. Very busy city, big city, stuff like that. So I feel like I'm more of a small town guy. So I think going out of Stockholm will probably be best for me next time. So, but we're gonna get into these Q&As real quick. Um, we got Ninor89, and this is from the post I made. It's not that many right now. That's why I'm hoping this video will kind of give y'all a chance to allow me to make a part two and answer those questions as well. But it says, how did you experience the atmosphere among people? What food did you try? How was the train ride to Stockholm from Denmark? Anything special you noticed that you hadn't thought about before? So that first question, how do you experience the atmosphere amongst the people? Like I said, everybody was real laid back. Everybody was minding their own business to themselves. Like it's like the videos. If you don't know nobody, nobody's not gonna have small talk with you. Nobody's not gonna communicate with you. A different thing too for me. Nobody like. I was like, oh, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. When people would walk by, nobody said excuse me or anything. Like, I think they're just the mannerism that I have, but the American mannerisms that I have. But nobody, like, I almost accidentally hit somebody. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. And they just looked at me and stared. They really didn't care too much to just say, oh, excuse me, or anything like that. So nobody really just did that. But like I said, most people just minded their own business and did their own thing. It wasn't a big issue when it came down to people. Then what foods did I try? I didn't get to try the meatballs or nothing like that. I had the last full day that I had. I was trying to, but I had to walk like 50 minutes away. Uh, I think Meatballs for the People was the restaurant. I get there and the line is packed. It's full and it's almost 10 o'clock. And I thought people ate dinner and did all that stuff before 10 o'clock. No, the streets were still packed. Restaurants were still packed after like 7 or 8. Then I had to think about, oh, it is the weekend as well. So, but other than that, I ate burgers, pizza, and all those different things like that. That I still ate American, basically, with the restaurants and stuff like that. Then I kind of already explained the ride from Stockholm to Denmark. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad, other than the ticket trouble that I had. But they were still nice, generous. I got to see a lot. It was pretty cool seeing all the towns and stuff like that. Um, I didn't really sleep on the train. I might have dozed off a couple of times, but really didn't sleep. So that was a good thing. Didn't really expect to sleep and do all that, just because I was able to see a lot and not do a lot, but I did try to use the restroom. I almost fell off trying to use the restroom. That was new. Then anything special you noticed that you hadn't thought about before? I can say this. I don't. I really don't think so. But maybe something will come to mind later. But other than that, I don't think it was nothing really special that I noticed that was just different from what I've seen. Other than, like I've said, the bike lane and how much the Stockholm city was like New York to me. I think that was one of a different thing that I noticed. How much it was almost like New York. If I was to compare it to America, it gave me New York vibes. So that was a difference right there. Next question we have Fisk 7370. Were there any expectations you had about Sweden that turned out to be incorrect? What did you enjoy most of the visit and the least? And was there anything you planned on doing and wish you did but missed out on? So that first question is about the expectations you had about Sweden that turned out to be incorrect. I think with that, those expectations that I have, probably the walk and getting to different places. I think that was one of the main things. And then the expectation with the food, just because I didn't really get the chance to eat real Swedish food, just because I'm in Stockholm, so it's more like somebody mentioned it in my video, like it was more tourism type of thing. So you're not gonna get the real Swedish culture experience in Stockholm. I knew I just wanted to go because, you know, uh, one of the main towns in Sweden, the biggest one in Sweden. So, but yeah, I think that's another question I'll probably think about as time goes on and be able to answer that then. What did you enjoy most about the visit and the least? I enjoyed just sightseeing and seeing everything that I've seen in videos, the different buildings. Like I couldn't tell y'all how many selfies I took. If you follow me on Instagram, I posted a few on YouTube as well, but took a lot of selfies just seeing the different statue churches and all those different things like that. The boat ride was amazing. It was cold, but it was amazing. Get into that on the culture shocks as well, but it was a good experience just seeing Sweden from the water, Stockholm from the water. I'll say at least. Then what I least enjoyed, ain't gonna lie, the walking that started hurting me the most. I'm not gonna lie, that really started hurting me the most, just because I started realizing like 20,000 steps. I walked to someplace and back, which took like 2 hours. And I'm looking at my watch and it's telling me you just walked 4 miles, you just walked 5 miles. And I was doing this morning, afternoon, then evening, just because the big time changes just felt like time was going by slow. So I will go take a nap. I'll wake up, still time left. Then go somewhere, come back, kind of chill in the bed and stuff. Then go back out and do stuff, and it just seemed like it was the day just wasn't going to end. And of course, the lighting outside, like the time change and stuff, or just with the time and the lighting outside, the sun was up all day. Like it probably went down maybe 3 hours in the day. That's it. 3 hours. That's about it. But yeah, the least was the walking for sure. Then was there anything you planned on doing and wish you did but missed out on? Uh, I planned on going to smaller towns that are nearby and stuff like that, but that was the main thing I wish I would have did was see some other small towns next outside of Stockholm. And as I mentioned, that's gonna be my goal next time coming to Sweden is to see the small towns, see Sweden outside of Stockholm, because I feel like I got a different view. Because right now I'm in Copenhagen, and I feel like I'm in. They said it's a boring area, but I'm like this is very livable for me. It almost relates to home. Like I could live here. It's no big deal at all. So it's pretty nice here. But yeah, going to the small town, that's definitely something I missed out on. Um, then we got I can't pronounce this. Scava Guide 5644 says after 2 years and 300 reaction videos, did Stockholm and Sweden live up to your expectations? How did you experience the time change? Did you get jet lag? Did you try meatball? Since I'm from Skåne, which was once Danish, I also have to ask if Copenhagen lived up to your experience. I'm gonna get to that, in the next video about Copenhagen. But yeah, I think Stockholm it did live up to my expectation just because, man, seeing everything, going to the museums after watching so many videos and seeing like, hey, man, that would be cool to see in person and do all that. And when I tell you, I was amazed. There was times I was just wandering around. It's like I was making a big circle and wasn't realized. I was just wandering around, and I was like, man, I ran into a church that I've seen on videos and didn't even realize till I'm looking. I'm like, this look familiar. Selfie, So it was pretty cool. It definitely lived up to the expectation. I mean, y'all can see by all the pictures that I took and posted. Like, I don't even take selfies like that. Like my wife will take. I do not take selfies like that. Man, every chance I got, if I seen a statue, just yeah, it definitely lived up to the expectation. Like I said, despite the delayed flights, despite the uncomfortableism on the flights and different things, the train rides and stuff, it wasn't that man. It definitely lived up to the expectation. I definitely got to come back. The next one, how did you experience the time change? The time change, it was different, especially communicating with family and stuff. Like, hey, remember, I'm 7 hours ahead of you, blah blah blah. So the time change was a big deal. I don't think I was too jet lagged because I feel like I slept on the plane and the train, so it wasn't too bad. But it did feel good. Like I said, I would sleep, wake up, like, oh snap, it's still a lot of like it's still pretty early. Let me go do something. Then I'll go back, chill, probably doze off a little. Like, oh dang, it's still still pretty early to go do something. Like I said, the sun did not go down. I was watching. The sun didn't go down till like 11 or 12. Cause I'm looking outside while I'm in bed, like, is the sun still up? And then by like 1 or 2 o'clock, it was rising again. And mind you, we in the NBA playoffs are happening, so I'm watching the playoffs. Jason Tatum. Shout out to Jason Tatum. Shout out to the Dallas Mavericks. But I'm watching the playoffs at 2:30 in the morning, and the sun is up. The sun was bright, just was shining. Like I could have got my day started at 2:30 in the morning. That's how bright the sun was. So the time change didn't affect me sleeping. Like I would doze off. I just felt like it was a lot of time in the day to do something. So that's what I tried to do for sure. But yeah, the time change, man, I it's just one of those things. I couldn't imagine the winters when it's dark most of the time. So did I get jet lag? Not really. And as I mentioned earlier, I didn't really get to try the meatballs, which is okay. Maybe I'll just go. I tried, but the line was super long. Then Ninor also asked top 5 experiences. Definitely visiting all the museums, the boat ride, going to Gamla Stan. Believe it or not, even just walking around, I went to an area. There's a big tower. I forgot the name of the tower. Just seeing that tower, walking around, and really just, I feel like I clicked real. I became accustomed to the culture real quick, because people walk fast here. People walk very fast. That's another thing I'm going to talk about in the culture shock, but I think I came accustomed to just how Swedes work and live, how they move, how they so I start becoming accustomed to that. So I start looking at other people do things. So I'm like, it must be okay. So let me do it since they're doing it, type of thing. But yeah, I think the whole trip was a good experience for me. But guys, that's it for this video. I know it's long, but I just had to start from the beginning. Like I said, the other one should be shorter once I make the part two. But I really enjoyed my time there in Sweden and definitely got to go back. Like I said, of course, outside of Stockholm. But other than that, man, 10 out of 10. I want to do it again. And I think it'll be even better. That's why like my whole mindset. I was thinking like just walking, because I walk by myself most of every day. I just walk by myself and stuff like that. Sometimes I have music on, and that's another thing. I have music on. I'll get to that in the culture shock videos and stuff. But like I felt safe. Nobody bothered me. Like I said, everybody minded their own business. But I was just thinking, man, I gotta work harder because I gotta show my family this. Like, I gotta get my wife and kids here. Like, this is a good experience, a different experience. So I know that's one of my goals, to work hard to get them over here to visit. And I think they'll probably like more of the towns outside of Stockholm as well. Like I said, it's very fast paced in Stockholm. It was very fast paced. It seemed, or people just walked fast. I don't know. It was one of those things. But other than that, 10 out of 10 experience. Really enjoyed my time. I can see myself coming back to Sweden in general. Visiting Stockholm maybe occasionally, but outside of Stockholm for sure, that's the goal. But that's all I have for this video. Like I said, send your questions down. I'll make a part two of this just so I can be able to answer more questions that I probably haven't thought of or that you want to know. Like I said, I got the culture shock videos coming. I already got a list of things that were definitely shocking for me that I'm going to do. So, but other than that, that's all I have. Y'all hit that subscribe button, send down those questions, and y'all be blessed, be the best, and be you. I'm out.